Good evening. This is Amit Pakurel, and let's begin with the top stories of this hour. Constitution Drafting Committee begins its work to submit a preliminary draft within 15 days. Insurance companies delay payment owed to their clients even after 2 months since the devastating earthquake. A South African court issues an interim order preventing the visiting Sudanese President Omar al-Basir from leaving the country. And semi-final lineup drawn at the Women's National Cricket, Viratnagar versus Thalgadi and APF Supai Janakpur. The Constitution Drafting Committee has started its work today. The committee has been assigned 15 days to prepare a preliminary draft of the new Constitution. At a meeting held this afternoon, the committee assigned its 5 subcommittees to prepare their respective drafts within the next couple of days. The subcommittees are due to submit their reports by incorporating all the underlying issues of Constitution, including those already agreed upon by the parties and the ones still awaiting consensus. Speaking at today's meeting, Drafting Committee Chairman Krishna Prasad Sitola said the Constitution writing process would now be carried out in a full swing. He said even the remaining disputed issues would be sorted out through a mutual political consensus. The government is to declare the Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Kantipur region as crisis hit for a year as part of its reconstruction drive. Government spokesperson Melinda Rizal said that the move is being taken to demolish houses and other structures that were damaged by the earthquake or have been destabilized in Kathmandu Valley's 3 districts. Meanwhile, chairman of the non-resident Nepalese organization, Says Khale, has been appointed Nepal's special goodwill ambassador. Khale has been playing an instrumental role in garnering support from abroad, particularly the Nepali diaspora. The government has also formed a tourism promotion committee under the coordination of the tourism minister. UML Chairman KP Sarmawali has said that efforts are being made to politicize the national government. Speaking to journalists after a cleanliness campaign organized in Basantapur, Oli asserted that the national government should focus on post-quake reconstruction rather than politics at this juncture. He urged all sides to be cooperative so as to meet the country's present needs. The party carried out a cleanliness drive in parts of Basantapur that were badly damaged by the earthquake. Chairman Oli, senior leader Madhukumar Nepal, along with other party leaders and cadres participated in the campaign. The Nepal Police, Armed Police Force and Nepal Army also took part in the program. Political parties have been building temporary structures for earthquake victims along with conducting a cleanliness drive of cultural heritage sites. Prime Minister Susi Koirala has said that the government would simultaneously focus on development works alongside constitution promulgation. The Premier made the remark while accepting a memorandum submitted by 13 student unions at his official residence, Palwata, today. Prime Minister Koirala said that the statute would soon be promulgated, citing the reconstruction works have already moved ahead. He said the country would experience sustainable peace and political stability soon after the formation of the new statute. Meanwhile, the 13 student wings drew the Prime Minister's attention towards the hike in the tuition fees imposed by private schools with the beginning of the new academic session. In response, Prime Minister Koirala assured that he would direct the concerned ministry to address the demands put forth by the students. The student unions have demanded free education for the students who have been directly affected by the earthquake. They have also called for annulment of the tuition fees for the month of Vaisakh when the educational institutions remain closed owing to the earthquake and recurrent aftershocks. The student wings have already announced agitation programs so as to enforce the execution of the demands. Unified March Chairman Puspakamal Dahal has requested all agitating parties to assist in the Constitution's promulgation. Talking to journalists in Banke, Dahal expressed belief that the remaining 5 parties in the 30-party alliance would soon force consensus on the 8-province federal structure. He also said that an understanding had been reached to grant the role of president to a Nepali Congress leader after the constitution is unveiled. Dahal had gone to Nepalgans to offer condolence regarding death of the son of former Deputy House Speaker Purna Subedi and Kantipur daily distributor Asutraj Subedi. Subedi lost his life in the April 25th earthquake. It was World Blood Donors Day today. The day was celebrated in Nepal with the slogan, "Thank you for saving me." Although the number of donors in Nepal is increasing by the day, around 50% of the donated blood goes to waste, increasing the scarcity of blood. According to the Nepal Red Cross Society, around 300 to 500 units of blood is collected in the blood bank on a daily basis from Kathmandu Valley alone. This can easily fulfill the need of the valley. However, the negligence of hospitals causes more than half of that blood go to waste. Improper storage of blood by hospitals and storing them in inappropriate temperatures renders around 35% of the blood useless. Likewise, 15% of the blood is neither used nor returned. According to the blood bank, hospitals do not buy blood themselves and ask patients to stack up more blood than necessary. There has been no study on the demand for blood and how much is collected. Since there is no blood storage technology in government hospitals, large amounts of blood gets wasted. The World Donors Association of Nepal said that along with inspiring people to donate blood, campaigns to inform medical practitioners about the importance of blood should also take place. And in this contest, we asked people who were donating blood what inspired them to make the donation. Before we go for a short break, let's take a look at what they had to say.
ब्लड डोनेसन दिँदाखेरि कसैलाई केही हेल्प हुने भएको कारणले चाहिँ सबैलाई एज अ युज होस् भन्ने मात्र कन्सेप्ट हो त्यो
रगत कृत्रिम रूपमा बनाउन सकिदैन मान्छेलाई नै दिनुपर्ने कुरो त्यही भएर यो रक्तदान एकले अर्कोलाई बचाउनको लागि अत्यावश्यक छ फेरि रक्तदान दिँदाखेरि हामीमा नराम्रो हुँदैन कमजोरी हुँदैन हेल्थको लागि अझ राम्रै हुन्छ
ब्लड डोनेसन गर्ने त आफ्नो इच्छाको कुरा हो जो हेल्पफुल गर्न पाएकोमा खुसी छु पहिलेदेखि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लागिरहेको थियो अहिले चाहिँ धेरै मान्छे एकैचोटि धेरै मान्छे घाइते अवस्थामा पुगे धेरैको रगत अभाव हुने सम्भावना जस्तो लाग्यो गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई ब्लडको खाँचो भएर कति व्यक्तिहरू मैले देखेको छु उहाँलाई ब्लड होस् र के पनि हो भन्दाखेरि ब्लड डोनेट गरेपछि आफ्नो स्वास्थ्य राम्रो हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा पनि मैले आफ्नो अनुभवबाट पनि थाहा पाएँ हैन र धेरै ठाउँबाट पनि सुने ब्लड दिएर मजाले आफ्नो काममा जान सक्नुहुन्छ विक हुनुहुन्न र जुन अहिले त्यस्तै हाम्रो सोच भयो भने सबैमा हैन ब्लड दिनुपर्छ ब्लड दिँदाखेरि झन् हेल्थको लागि स्वास्थ्यको लागि राम्रो हो
ब्लड डोनेट गर्न चाहिँ अरूलाई पनि बचाउन पाइयो हैन अनि आफ्नो लागि पनि राम्रो हो ब्लड डोनेट गरिरहनुपर्छ त्यसको ब्लड डोनेट गरिराख्दाखेरि केही आफू भित्रको रोगहरू पनि जान्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
एउटा मान्छेको रगतबाट धेरै मान्छे बाँच्छ भने किन हामीले रक्तदान नगर्ने रगत भन्ने कुरा एकदम अमूल्य चिज हो त्यही भएर हामीले खेर गएको रगतलाई सदुपयोग गर्न सक्नुपर्छ भनेर चाहिँ मैले रक्तदान गर्छु
हामी सबैजना एउटै हो हैन आफूलाई रगत छ भने अरूलाई नहुनेहरूलाई चाहिँ दिँदाखेरि उहाँहरूको पनि हैन एउटा अब जीवनदान जस्तै पाउनुहुन्छ भने सबैलाई धर्म हो खासमा चाहिँ
way for the constitution writing process. However, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and Commission on Enforced Disappearances are yet to pick up pace. The commissions were formed to investigate cases of disappearances dating back to the armed insurgency. Both commissions have not been able to step up their operations due to the dearth of resources. The commission is currently operating out of a small room in the local development ministry due to the lack of a building. It also said that the earthquake has posed a delay in its work schedule. The commission's secretary was appointed 3 months after its establishment, further slowing the pace of work. The building belonging to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission has been damaged following the earthquake. At this time, the commission officials have been studying the condition of the victims in districts affected by the armed conflict. Spokesperson Madhavi Fatta said that study is being undertaken to ensure the safety of those who file complaints and to ease the environment to file complaints. Both commissions are finalizing their regulation, after which they will operate with additional resources. The commissions were established on February 11 this year to complete the remaining task of the peace process. Both have a term of 2 years. Lawmakers have urged the government to formulate concerted long-term planning for the reconstruction of the earthquake. The lawmakers were floating their opinion during an interaction held at the Finance Committee. The meeting discussed the draft proposal on the damage incurred by recent earthquake and the reconstruction in the post-earthquake period. The draft proposal will be tabled at the upcoming donors meeting that kicks off from 25th of June. The lawmakers have urged the government to form a strong mechanism for the implementation and monitoring of reconstruction projects. The lawmakers suggested that the government should work on the relocation of settlements that are under the threat of landslide, try to bring back the youth back home, and hold the local level election. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman of National Planning Commission, Govindaraj Pokhrel, said that the reconstruction budget estimated around 666 billion rupees. He added that reconstruction works would be initiated through a strong government mechanism. Now some international updates. Our South African court has issued an interim order preventing the visiting Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir from leaving the country. It says Bashir will have to stay until the court hears an application later today on whether he should be handed over to the International Criminal Court, ICC, in The Hague. Bashir is in Johannesburg for an African Union summit. He faces ICC war crimes and genocide charges over the Darfur conflict. The ICC has called on South Africa to arrest him. However, he was welcomed by South African officials when he arrived in Johannesburg on Sunday. There are tensions between the ICC and the AU, with some on the continent accusing the court of unfairly targeting Africans. The African Union has previously urged the ICC to stop proceedings against sitting leaders. The warrants against Bashir, who denies the allegations, have severely restricted his overseas travel. The ICC has issued 2 arrest warrants against Bashir. The court relies on member states to carry out arrests. However, correspondents have said the South African government, a signatory to the treaty establishing the ICC, is unlikely to move against the Sudanese leader. The African Union has previously refused to cooperate with the ICC, accusing it of bias against African leaders. A hospital has suspended most of its services after being identified as the source of almost half the cases in the South Korean outbreak of Middle East respiratory syndrome. The president of the Samsung Medical Center in the capital, Seoul, issued a public apology today. Samsung Medical Center President Song Jae-hoon told reporters that the hospital would stop treating outpatients and admitting new patients to prevent further infections among patients and medical staff. More than 70 cases have been traced back to the hospital. Among them was an emergency ward orderly who worked for days after developing symptoms and came into contact with more than 200 people, officials said. It is believed the orderly picked up the virus from an infected person who waited for days in various parts of the emergency ward, potentially exposing the virus to an estimated 900 staff, patients, and visitors. South Korea reported 7 new cases today, and the 15th victim died in the city. The World Health Organization has warned that the outbreak is large and complex, with further cases expected, although it does not expect the outbreak to spread among the wider community. The outbreak is the largest outside Saudi Arabia, where the disease was first identified in humans in 2012. U.S. Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton has vowed to help everyday Americans in the first major rally in her presidential campaign. Clinton outlined her key policies in a speech to thousands of supporters on New York City's Roosevelt Island. She pledged to support working families, saying that America can't succeed unless they succeed. Her campaign team hopes to boost approval ratings, which have flagged since her soft launch in April. Her husband, former President Bill Clinton, and daughter Chelsea appeared alongside her. She promised to make the economy work for everyday Americans, not just those at the top if elected president next year. Until now, the former U.S. Secretary of State has held small events with selected audiences in early voting states such as Iowa. Today's outdoor rally marked a change in gear for her campaign. Clinton hopes to make history as the first female U.S. president. If successful, she would also keep the White House within the same party for a third term. She did not detail specific policy proposals on Saturday. Her aides said that will happen over the next few weeks on issues including the economy, jobs and college affordability. And time now for another short break. For more, companies have delayed payment owed to their clients even after 2 months since the devastating earthquake. Around 14,500 insurance clients have claimed their payment, citing damages to their houses and vehicles. But only 1,100 of them have received their money as of yet. The insurance companies haven't disbursed payment to the clients who have solicited more than 10 million rupees for their losses. Organizing a press meet in the capital today, the committee uncovered the fact about the insurance companies delaying payments to their clients. Meanwhile, committee's chairman, Fateh Bahadur Kisi, said he was dissatisfied with the approach of the insurance company. The clients too expressed their dismay, saying that they have been put into trouble for not getting their payments on time. They said that instead of responding to their claims, some of the insurance companies have unnecessarily sought additional information through the Nepal Reinsurance Company. On the contrary, the insurance company operators insist that they have never asked for any information. They, however, put forth vague reasons behind the delay in the issuing of the insurance amounts. Some of the companies said that it would take time for survey owing to the scale of disaster. According to the insurance committee, there has been a total claim of around 14 billion rupees at 16 different insurance companies, but only 30 million rupees has been disbursed as the insurance amount so far. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you SMS us with your opinion.
Journalism brought to you by
Dilly-dallying strategy and see massive claimed amounts. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 8080 and do share your opinion with us. Nepal Airlines Corporation has said that they are not going to procure any further Chinese aircraft. The national flag carrier said that the Chinese aircraft were not up to the mark, which prompted the decision. The newly appointed Director General at NAC, Sugat Ratna Kansakar, said that Chinese aircraft cannot be purchased under present procurement agreement. Meanwhile, the corporation has said it would hire pilots from international agency to fly the Airbus procured lately. During the flight hours, the international pilots will also train the pilots from the NAC. The two aircrafts, MA360 and Y12, gifted by China, did not perform to the expectation. The corporation was scheduled to buy 4 aircrafts from China after receiving the 2 aircrafts. The corporation is now knocking the doors of Civil Aviation Authority to change the earlier decision and decided against buying 4 additional Airbus from China. And time now for the sport update. Biratnagar and Thangadi have made it to the semi-finals of the Women's National Cricket Championship. In a match played at Pokhara Stadium today, Biratnagar defeated the home team by 161 runs to book a place in the semi-final. In a one-sided match, Biratnagar, batting first, scored 184 runs and bowled Pokhara for 23 runs to register a huge win. Likewise, Kathmandu defeated Nepalgans by 7 wickets but failed to make it to the last 4. Meanwhile, the match between Virgans and Thangadi was washed out by rain. The draw was enough for Thangadi to move to the semi-finals. Armed police force will take on Thangadi and Biratnagar will clash against Janakpur in the semi-finals tomorrow. And before we wrap up, a reminder of the top stories. Constitution Drafting Committee begins its work to submit a preliminary draft within 15 days. Insurance companies delay payments owed to their clients even after 2 months since the devastating earthquake. A South African court issued an interim order preventing Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir from leaving the country. And Biratnagar and Thangadi advanced to the semi-finals of the ongoing Women's National Cricket Tournament. And that's all for this hour. Up next is News in Nepali. Keep watching Kantipur television. Goodbye for now.